Today's video, we're going to be continuing our looks at the Diamond Select Kingdom Hearts Action Figures Series 2, as we have a look at Roxas, Donald, and Goofy. This time around, it's a trio making its figure debut and release. 3 figures, and you also get a whole bunch of different accessories as well. Alright, let's check the height on these guys. We're going to start with the tallest, Roxas, and we're going to work our way down to Donald. Roxas stands at almost exactly 6 inches in height. Goofy, on the other hand, if we get the tape measure next to him, if you technically count the top of his hat, I guess he's about 6 inches as well. And there would be no way of confusing that Donald is 6 inches. The figure is about 3 inches. He's about half the height of both Goofy and Roxas. What I like about this particular set is each figure comes with an accessory. Roxas comes with the Oathkeeper Keyblade, a really nice representation of the Keyblade from the game. It's got some nice decorative work there, painted in black, and some nice transitioning on the side feathers or so of the Keyblade. A really nice, impressive piece. Much like the previous one that we looked at, the Rainfell Keyblade, it also has a little link that's metal, and the little tassel, if you will, is a softer plastic. Just to show you the comparison, by the way, there is Aqua's Rainfell Keyblade, much smaller, of course, than Roxas' Oathkeeper Keyblade, much bigger. Also, to the credit of this Keyblade, he holds it much better. In fact, I found myself more fighting to try to get the Keyblade into his hand than the Keyblade sitting extremely loose. You have to kind of get it around his 4 fingers and then around, of course, his thumb. And you can see that he holds it extremely well. It's not going to be going anywhere. Goofy also comes included with his shield, a rather familiar shape there on the shield, painted very nicely in blue and yellow. The yellow gets, or black, I should say, gets a little on the messy side up at the top there, but a nice representation of the shield that he has in the game. There's the back strapping there. And then you can go ahead, go away hair. I don't know, cat hair flying all over the place, here. It does fit inside his hand, kind of just like wedges its way in between his fingers. And there's Goofy with his shield. I can tell that the cats have been down here. And then lastly, little tiny Donald comes included with his mage staff. Again, a nice representation of the way it looks in the game, right down to the point that it's got the little curly wizard's hats. It's adorable, and it can fit into Donald's hand. It's sort of the same instance that I had with Aqua's Keyblade. He doesn't really hold it well unless you have it further up by the top of the kind of the head or the crown portion of the staff. If you try holding it down here, it just sits loose, and he doesn't seem to want to hold it all that well. So there is the trio of heroes, all with their own respected weapons. I guess why don't we start with Donald, as we sort of left off with Donald. Again, there he is with his staff. I'm just going to put that down for the time being. Donald looks good. I kind of wish his elbows weren't bent the way that it is. It kind of gives him this kind of upside down U shape to his arms. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any bend in his elbows. Unfortunately, he just only has a hinge happening in his forearm. Face sculpt is really good. The white almost doesn't have the clearest of clarity to it. I kind of wish it was a little bit on the bright white side. It really looks a lot brighter, it seems, on the front package artwork, or at least the back package artwork, than it does here. Again, it could have been just a little bit whiter. I got a little bit of bleed coming off from the bill there onto the fur area here. It does have pegals on the undersides of his feet. I do unfortunately find his feet to be a little on the loose side. And actually, all 3 of the figures I find a little on the loose side, but that isn't across the board. It just is my figure that unfortunately I picked up. Nice detailing there also in the pockets, little mage pockets, and painted on the back. Yellow, again, gets a little unfinished on the sides. The blue's kind of bled its way into it. But overall, a nice looking Donald. I kind of wish just again that the paint was a little bit cleaner on him. Poseability on this guy. His head is on a ball joint. Hinges up and down. Rocks back and forth. Swivels all the way around. Arms only can do this, as well as can rotate all the way around. Again, he's got no elbow articulation. His wrists rotate back. And actually, it's not even so much his wrists, I should say. It's this part up here that rotates. This part up here rotates. Nothing in the waist, and then he just has swivels back and forth on the feet. Again, nice looking Donald. Wish the paint was just a little tiny bit cleaner on him. Next, let's get a gander at Goofy, and we'll go ahead and take his shield off out of his hand. We don't need that right now. What's funny is that Goofy has made 2 appearances in one wave. That be the Wave Series 2. This is the Goofy we already had a look at that came included with Aqua. Much more armored up Goofy than this one right here. He seems to have a similar face, if not identical face between the two. His head also seems to angle up a lot higher than this one did. This one was a little harder to get his head up, but you can see it's pretty much the exact same head sculpt. Shy for a fact, of course, he had the Knight's helmet on one. And he's got, well, I don't want to say a more conventional Goofy hat, but a little bit more something that you would expect Goofy to be wearing. Outfit is very drastically different as well, clearly showing that they did not reuse the molds in any way when going from this guy to this guy, or from this guy back to this guy right here. Kind of like the design of this one here, just because it resonates for this reviewer as someone as a little bit more of a more traditional looking Goofy, but I do really like this one quite a bit. And actually so much so, I'll just kind of keep him in the back here. Get Goofy to stand. Get his feet going, there we go. And actually while we're at it, just for scale comparison, even though we haven't looked at Roxas yet, but there he is next to Aqua. As for Goofy himself, again, I really like the design of this. An ongoing trait seems to be that Diamond Select, when they handle their properties, they handle them extremely well. They've done that now with the Muppets line, and I guess keeping to that same sort of design of more of cartoonier characters, they're doing extremely well here when it comes to the Disney characters as well. Goofy has a really nice green kind of turtleneck sweater. In front of that, he's got himself a vest with a nice zipper. Everything very clean on Goofy here. Baggy pants. More kind of traditional Goofy sort of shoes. What's interesting, though, is that the other Goofy seemed very much like he used ball joints. Here on this Goofy is rather the opposite. He has a pin and hinge joint. He's got actually a hinge there, but then he's got a secondary hinge where the ankle attaches. And then you can rotate the feet around as well. So you can either have the feet angled out this way, or if you flip this around so the hinge is facing forward, and then very carefully bringing his foot around, you can then angle his foot forward and back. It's interesting, though, that this particular Goofy doesn't have peg holes on the undersides of his feet, whereas this one right here did. Not really sure the reasoning why one had it and the other one did not. But nonetheless, Goofy's articulation, his head rotates all the way around. A much more easier to bend neck, at least the very least the head on top of the neck is easier to move up. Arms hinge outward, as well as you can rotate them all the way around. And he also has the swivel happening in the wrist. Very squeaky, creaky swivel, but a swivel nonetheless. He does have a waist swivel, although it's just a little on the tight side. Legs split out, much generously, more so than the one that we just looked at. Forward and back on the legs, and then we've, again, already touched base on the feet. Like the look of Goofy. He might very well be my favorite of the trio here. I mean, I do like Donald, but I feel like Donald's paint just could be a little bit better. Goofy's biggest hindrance is more so just the fact that he has a tough time standing. Here we go. And actually, you know what? Not to distract these trio, I'm going to just move the other characters that we had to look at out of the way. And then finally, we can have a look at Roxas here. We'll go ahead and remove the Oathkeeper Keyblade. Love the design of that. I have to say that, in all honesty, the face sculpt, while good for Roxas, I kind of wish that could have had a little bit more a little bit more, I don't know, expression, a little bit more personality, I think, to the face. The very closed, somber mouth and somber face that he has here just doesn't really feel exciting to me. I would love to have had like a smile or some, like I said, some expression on his face. Paint on him is pretty good. Again, we'll compare him reaching off to the side. Here he is next to Aqua, so you can see the comparison between the more human characters versus the Disney ones that we've looked at already. This one's got a little bit more color. Roxas favors a little bit more to the beiges, the light grays, the dark grays. Not really a whole lot of color popping on this guy, other than the laces on his boots, and of course the collar area of his jacket. Other than that, it's pretty much very somber, light, pale colors represented here. Very baggy pants. Unfortunately, though, he is a little loose. These legs, at least, a little bit on the loose side. Like the hair sculpt. Nice spiky hair, as he does have in the game. Again, I kind of wish he just, at the very least, had an expression. It doesn't necessarily always have to be happy expressions, but something just other than, you know, just a straight slit for a mouth. Something a little bit more above and beyond that. Poseability on this guy, his head rotates all the way around, also hinges up and down. And pretty much the same thing with Goofy applies here also for Roxas. You can move his arms out, rotate them all the way around, bend at the elbow, rotate at the hand. That hinges back and forth. Waist swivel, there we go, it's just again a little on the tight side. Legs split out, forward and back. A double hinge on the knee, which is really nice to see. Was not expecting a double hinge on the knee. I just do find that the knee hinges. Funny enough, one knee hinges easier at the top and struggles a little bit down at the bottom. The other knee is the opposite to that. I find the bottom of the hinge on this leg works a little bit better than the one up at the top there. Decent enough figures. Appreciate for the fact that, of course, once again, Diamond Select not gives us one. Doesn't give us two, but in an instance like this, we get 3 characters for really the price of one. Of course, Donald could not have been released all on his own. He's simply just too small of a figure. But I do appreciate for the fact that Diamond Select in this instance, for about a $34 price point here in Canada, at the very least you do get yourself 3 characters for that. Like I said in the review, you get some bang for your buck here when it comes to the Diamond Select releases. They've done it very much the same when they've released the Muppet Select figures, not giving you just one figure and some accessories. They know that for smaller characters, like Donald here, for example, he's just way too small just to be packaged on his own. And even then, to be packaged with Goofy, they give you something a little bit on top of that as well, and you get yourself a 3-pack. I do like this particular set, and I'm not just saying that for the fact that you're getting 3 figures for the price of essentially 1, but I do like all the characters independently. They all have great sculpts to them, and paint for the most part is pretty clean. Donald, I kind of wish could have been a little bit brighter, especially because his body is made up of white fur. I kind of wish that the white was a little bit more vibrant. Roxas has a pretty decent looking head sculpt. I just wish that the expression was a little bit more exaggerated than just having a very stern looking face. I don't know which one I like more though, the Aqua or the Roxas. I kind of feel like I'm a little gravitating more towards Roxas just because I like the costume that they've sculpted on him. And he holds his Keyblade a little bit easier. Either way, like I said, if you guys are interested in picking up either the Birth by Sleep Aqua and Goofy, or if you're looking to pick up this trio consisting of Roxas, Donald, and Goofy, either way, you should be able to find them now at your local comic book store. And if you can't find a local comic book store in your area, it's simply a case of going to www.comicshoplocator.com, putting your zip code, your postal code, or whatever code you use to find out where you live. Simply add that, and Comic Shop Locator should be able to find a comic book store in your area. No, I'm not sponsored. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, what are you waiting for? Many more videos coming your way. Of course, we're still going to have a look at the one other 3-pack, which actually isn't even so much a 3-pack. It's a 4-pack, because you're also getting Chip and Dale, but we're going to be looking at the Soldier Pete Chip and Dale set. Kind of interesting that we're doing this now in kind of order of quantities. The first set only had 2 figures, this set had 3 figures, and the final set that we're going to be having a look at from the Action Figure Series 2 of Kingdom Hearts is going to have an astonishing 4 figures. So that's pretty cool. Also, if you want to head over to Diamond Select's YouTube channel, I'm going to have it as a featured channel page. It's on the side in the home page there. You can swing over there and have a look at all the upcoming pieces that they've got coming to stores. Kind of gives you that VIP sneak peek look at stuff before they hit store shelves. So you might want to check that out as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.